If you want to seal two components using Dirko liquid gasket, make sure to watch this material in which I will show you how to use Dirko silicone so that it is safe and effective. I will show you how to apply this sealant instead of standard gaskets, where it can be used and where it cannot, and what you should absolutely never do under any circumstances if you don't want to start all over again. And now let's get straight to the point and get to work. Dirko is a single-component silicone sealant that can be used in temperatures ranging from -60 to +315 degrees Celsius. It is also referred to as a liquid gasket. Additionally, it becomes flexible once cured, which allows it to move with the components while dampening vibrations. And it is resistant to petroleum products, which is exactly why so many of you have fallen in love with this product. I will show you how to make your life easier and use it correctly to achieve a completely tight seal for years to come. There are a few things that aren't entirely obvious and can completely ruin the final result, but more on that in a moment. Let's start right from the very beginning. I will show you, based on the work on my E61, how I installed the water pump using Dirko silicone. This is one of the most difficult installations because it's greasy, damp and dirty. So after watching this video, you will be able to handle any other spot without any trouble. The problem started when the old gasket failed and began to seep coolant. That's why I came up with the idea to install a new metal gasket, identical to the original one. However, to my surprise, despite installing it by the book, it leaked too. That was when the decision was made. I'm doing it with silicone, and the whole procedure looked exactly like this. First of all, after removing the part you want to seal later, you must prepare the surface for the silicone, meaning you need to thoroughly clean away all the dirt that might have collected there. On the surface intended for the new gasket, there cannot be any carbon buildup, burnt oil, old adhesive, or remnants of the previous gasket. Everything must be removed. The better we do this, the greater the durability of the new seal we apply. If you want to achieve a tight seal for years to come, it's best to dedicate the vast majority of the total replacement time to cleaning. The second extremely important thing, after cleaning away all the grime, the surface to which we will be applying the gasket needs to be degreased very thoroughly. If the surface on which we want to apply the silicone is greasy, it simply won't stick at all, or it will stick very poorly, which means the connection might not be tight. The same applies to the component we are going to seal. Its surface must also be cleaned and degreased. What kind of product should you use? There are many products on the market, but I personally use a silicone remover or a brake cleaner because the price is very good and the excess product evaporates very quickly. Now for the specifics regarding the application of the product, because here too there are 1 or even 2 points that might surprise you. I'm opening the packaging. I have a completely brand new tube. Generally speaking, silicone cures under the influence of moisture, not air, which is why, if you cap it tightly, it should remain usable for a long time. The first practical pro tip. I squeeze a little bit out onto a piece of cardboard and set it aside. This will be our control sample, which we can come back to after some time to check if the compound has fully hardened. Based on that, we'll know when it's safe to work on the car with oil or coolant so that we don't wash it away. When it comes to the actual application of the product, I do it very slowly, making sure to evenly cover every edge with no empty spots and without squeezing out too much. The most important thing is not to overdo the amount. It might seem surprising and counterintuitive, but in this case, more is actually worse. If you apply too much silicone, once the components are fitted and the bolts are tightened, all that excess will squeeze out from every possible side as the parts are properly pressed together, which creates a very serious risk of complications. If there is too much of this silicone hanging off the sides, all those protruding bits can break off over time and clog things like the radiator channels, or get stuck in the oil pump, or in any other tight spaces, and we must avoid this situation at all costs. Seriously, for this kind of seal, a layer literally 1 to a maximum of 2 millimeters wide for wide elements is enough, as long as it's applied evenly and is continuous. The Dirko tube itself is very stiff and quite hard to squeeze. So if you're sometimes unable to complete the entire seal by squeezing it all out in one go, don't worry. The silicone is very sticky, so you can easily take a short break and continue applying it from the exact same spot, just like I'm doing with this water pump. Before you apply the silicone to every nook and cranny that needs it, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps in growing the channel. Thanks. Now, for the second very important point, and this is the stage where most people make a mistake. If you have already covered the entire component, do not install it right away. It is very important to wait for about 10 minutes to let the compound catch a bit of air and moisture. If you don't do this and bolt the parts together immediately, the curing process will take much longer, and starting the car too soon could cause the gasket to blow out. You also have to be careful not to wait too long. If the compound hardens, it won't stick properly. So, as not to waste time while waiting, it's a good idea to clean out the mounting bolt holes. In my case, clearing them of any excess coolant that might have leaked inside, because water in those holes will mean we won't be able to tighten the bolts all the way and the pump won't seat properly. After waiting 15 minutes, we've reached the final and most important stage, after which I will also show you the final result. Now, I carefully put the pump in its proper place, being careful not to let the silicone touch any other component. I apply the entire part as flush to the surface as possible, aligning it directly with the bolt holes beforehand so that there's no need to rotate the pump at all once it touches the engine block. This takes a bit of practice, and honestly, I had my doubts about whether I managed to do it right the first time, which is why I took everything off again, cleaned it, and reapplied it all over. If you're working in such a hard-to-reach spot, it's a good idea to ask someone to help with a phone, as the extra screen expands your field of view a bit and makes putting the bolts in much easier. This way, you can also make sure that everything has seated properly and fits together as it should. It's actually a great savings, as you don't need to pay for an inspection camera and a lot of cash stays in your pocket. I tighten all the bolts to the manufacturer's recommended torque and leave the component to dry completely. According to the information on the leaflet, you should wait an hour for the element to start sealing. But honestly, I checked it myself after an hour and everything was still wet, which is why, if you can, leave everything overnight so that the compound can gain its full flexibility, just like you see on the screen right now. Then everything will definitely be great. The final result looks as follows. Even though I applied quite a small amount of silicone, some of it still squeezed out the sides, and generally with the amount you see now, there is no need to worry. The entire compound is very flexible and cohesive, and as long as we don't try to touch up anything ourselves by tearing or cutting it off, everything will hold up and work perfectly. A potential problem may arise when what squeezed out the sides is much more than what you see here. In such a situation, you must sensibly judge whether to leave it as it is, risking some of the bits breaking off, or if it's better to take it off and redo everything from scratch, applying even less than before. If it didn't work out the first time, don't worry, you will definitely succeed the second time. Experience is gained over time. At this stage, you can move forward and put the rest back together. If you like this material, check out my most interesting video about the 7 silent car killers. You definitely don't know a few of them, and I hope they never get to you. Take care!